It is the last Wednesday of the year, which means that this is the last week of new comics for the year. That is super exciting because neither Marvel or DC are letting this year go out with a whimper. In fact, both companies have put together a really, really awesome last week of comics, and we are going to dive into the books that we are most excited about and what will we be talking about on Pals Pulls right here on Pals Previews. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get right into things and talk about what you can expect to hear us discussing this week on Pals Pulls. And up front, getting the big name on the title is Absolute Wonder Woman #3. This is by Kelly Thompson with art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Jody Belair, letters by Becca Carey. And when I tell you that this book has been fire so far, I am not kidding. If you are not on the if you're not on the train for this book, you are missing out.
I am
Yeah.
absolutely excited for this book. I think the Hayden Sherman art, and I know this is a fact for Marco, and I'm sure you'll speak to it. The art is its story in and of itself, and what Hayden is doing in that is specific, and there are choices, and there's real art to it that I'm not seeing a lot in big two books. There's stories within the pen, like it's just really good comic book storytelling.
Yeah, even within, I feel like the margins of the story going on. Like I'm enraptured by what is happening. The semblance of demons is ongoing, like kaiju esque monsters, and then to have it visually represented through this consistent storytelling, through meaningful storytelling, it just helps elevate the book. I'm incredibly excited for this and for everything else that's coming out with relation to Absolute Wonder Woman. Hyped.
We've also got Justice League Unlimited #2 on the docket, as if that is a surprise to anybody. Mark Waid, Dan Mora, Tamara Bonvillain, Ariana Mayer. The cover looks like it features the Justice League versus Parademons, which is terribly uninteresting. But I'm sure that Mark Waid and Dan Moore will deliver something spectacular. The first issue was a hot start. We know that the Parademons are acting wacky now that their master Darkseid isn't around, so there could be some intrigue there.
Yeah, I think the Batman Blue Beetle team up, the first not movie, first issue, um, hinted at something happening in some kind of South American jungle. Then it had like eyes poking out, so I wonder if that's that
Yeah.
story. We're getting to the B plot of that and how that loops into the A of issue one. I just love the weird team ups in this book, and it's fucking Dan Mora. Like this book will look amazing no matter what.
The the stuff that's happening in the background is the intrigue for me. I felt it was a fun issue, one that was engaging, but the surprise at the end, that little twist of the doom and impending danger that's to come is really exciting. And so that to me is the what I really want to see play out. I want to see how that develops. I want to see who enters the fray with regards to that. A lot can kind of be balanced there.
We've also got up a Christmas gift from DC and writer Al Ewing. This is Al's first ongoing at DC Comics, Metamorpho the Element Man #1. Al Ewing, Steve Lieber on art, colors by Lee Lowridge, Ferran Gatto on letters. Um, a lot of people are probably coming into this with about as much information about Metamorpho as I have, which is very little. But I think that's okay because the person who knows the character that needs to know it is Al Ewing. And Al's going to deliver a tremendous series here, I think.
Yeah, the way that he was talking about it when we interviewed him for the show, I the way it's playing into comedy, into uh, reframing who this individual is and what he means to be alive and want to be alive. There's so many themes that are being played with that I enjoy in comics, and I really enjoy hearing from Al. That I cannot wait for this book.
Yeah, and as much as I love Al, I'm a big Steve Lieber guy. I have Steve Lieber art. You know, if anyone's familiar with his indie work, he did The Fix with Nick Spencer, but I think he's probably best known for the sinister Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which was like a Sinister Six play on it. But I think at DC, the most appropriate analogy for what Metamorpho could be like is One Star Squadron, which he did with Mark Russell, which is just a whole bunch of maybe Z-list DC characters that were the Uber of superheroes, and it dealt with like inner work politics. Red Tornado was like the most high-profile guy on the team, but that was a lot of fun, and I think Al's knowledge of the DC universe and knowledge of history of these characters, specifically Metamorpho, is going to be really interesting. And I think Steve Lieber will be able to play with the idea of this Element Man in lots of fun ways.
Yeah, preview images are cool.
Over in the Marvel camp, we've got Time Slide #1. So every year, Marvel does like a preview of the year to come. They center it around a character or two or whatever, and they show us glimpses at possibilities. Notably, when they did it last year, we saw glimpses of Doom ruling over Marvel's heroes, and now we know that that's one world under Doom. So the next peek we're gonna get into the future of Marvel is Time Slide #1. It's gonna follow Bishop and Cable as they go on a journey through the past, the present, and the future. So you can expect to see a lot of teases and hints there. Steve Fox, Yvonne Ferrelli, Frank Diamarda, Joe Caramagna is the creative team here.
Steve
Yeah.
Fox is good. I like Steve Fox.
I feel like the glimpses we can get towards the future are going to be interesting. There's some things that are playing out in like the X world that I'm a little iffy about, but let's see where else we have with relation to the rest of the universe. There's a lot going on there. Doom is playing out, so like, how does that ultimately work into this?
Man, there's a part of me that like wishes with the released window of this happening around Christmas that this would be like Cable's A Christmas Story, a Christmas Carol kind of take of them, past, future, present. But yeah, this is going to be one of those like it's not quite an appetizer sampler, but it kind of ends up being that.
Hmm.
So hopefully Steve Fox can kind of have a through line throughout all these things he needs to hint at that can be compelling.
Last on the docket, we are doing an indie and putting the Giant Generator book, Dust to Dust #1, on the docket. This is going to be written by Phil Bram, who I have no familiarity with, but drawn by J.G. Jones of Wanted fame. I love me some J.G. Jones.
J.G. Jones of Final Crisis fame too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't seen J.G. Jones in a while. Hell yeah. Okay.
Mega talented. The pitch is in the darkest days of the Great Depression, death stalks the Dust Bowl. As towering dust storms blast the parched Oklahoma panhandle, farmers try to flee the falling town of New Hope, but no one gets far. Battling his own demons, Sheriff Meadows teams up with Sarah, a traveling photojournalist, in a desperate fight to stop a serial killer on the loose, the death that rides the dusters. Okay. Tin
But
Can Society is a Giant Generator book as well, and I absolutely adore it. So
what's the level of curation that Rick Remender has with Giant Generator? Is he he's approving all these, right?
it's his.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his.
I trust him. I'm not familiar with this creative team, besides J.G. Jones, but I trust Rick Remender. Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at. I trust the creative leads at the totality of this, and so I'm interested to see what this could be. That little Western dusty twang of it, it's interesting. So I'm there.
The last book on the docket is going to be chosen by you guys because the poll, the Pals poll, which you can always vote on youtube.com/the comics pals, is up right now. It goes up every Thursday at 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern. And it features Amazing Spider-Man #64, Superman 21, Hornsby and Halo #2, and Exceptional X-Men #4. So whichever one of those you most want us to talk about, make sure you cast your vote, and it will end up on the show. Now, which of the books that are on the docket do you think is going to be your pick of the week?
This is a tricky one. Absolute Wonder Woman and JLU are really damn good for different reasons. But I'm going to go with the Dark Horse pick here and say Metamorpho. I think that could be more down my alley than all these other books.
I think I want it to be Metamorpho, but and I trust Al Ewing, but I think it's gonna be Absolute Wonder Woman. I love the direction here. I want to see this big fight. I want to know what else we can do with the character. I don't recall if it was number two was my pick of the week, but I'm just so excited for this book, and so I think it's going to be Wonder Woman.
I think this is the week where like I might end up being wrong. I want to choose Absolute Wonder Woman, and so that's what I'm gonna do. But I really feel strongly that absolute or I'm sorry that Justice League could outdo it. But I also think I might really end up liking Dust to Dust. So it's gonna be interesting. Now, of course, we have to present you with our honorable mentions. These are the books that are coming out this week that we're not going to have time to talk about on the show, but we do want to spotlight and highlight for you guys anyway. Tyler, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so my pick is actually Power Girl number 16. This is a continuation of the Leah Williams verse of DC that she's kind of been playing in. So this is written by Leah Williams, art by Adriana Mello, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters by Becca Carey. It's just a good ensemble book, and I think that's where Leah Williams really shines. Sure, it's a Power Girl book, but it's got Omen, it's got Jenny 13, it's got this character Ejecta, which is like a superhero in Metropolis that's really popular. She's got a huge social media following, but they know she's bad, and they're trying to get the public to kind of get on their side. It's funny, like Leah Williams is funny as shit. I'm sorry, and I kind of glom onto a lot of the stuff she writes. The sense of humor that she has for a lot of the characters, especially like female characters, just sound like actual women, which is nice to read in a superhero comic. Yeah, I'm happy that this book exists, and I've been having fun with it.
Damn, there's a Terry Dodson cover. I might need to
I
pick
think
this
there's
up,
always a Terry Dodson cover for Power Girl at this point.
as there should be. Marco, what's up with you?
Mine is votable, Exceptional X-Men. I've been having fun with this run. I like the interplay between the characters. I like the new mutants that we're being introduced to, and now Iceman's getting put into the mix somehow. All the big players in Kitty's life are kind of making appearances here, and so I'm just curious to see how this progresses, especially knowing that Emma Frost wants to uh, take these mutants under her wing, teach them, back in the day we learned this way. We got to apply the same kind of pressures. And Kitty's like, no, there's a new way forward. There's a new way to teach. There's a new way to introduce the mutants into how they control their powers and who they are. So I like that. I'm interested to read more.
For me, I'm going to go with Hellhunters number one. This is Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Adam Gorham. I don't even know how I neglected to put this on the poll. This is a really exciting comic. It's Philip Kennedy Johnson writing superheroes in 1944, including the Ghost Rider of 44 that we were introduced to in the Hulk, PKJ's Hulk series with Nick Klein. This is them fighting Nazis. It's got Winter Soldier. It's got, as I mentioned, Ghost Rider and a bunch of other characters. It looks like a lot of fun. And I'm always down for what Philip Kennedy Johnson has to say at all. And Adam Gorham, man, I haven't seen Adam's work in a while, but I remember really liking it. So I think he's a great choice for this series. This will definitely be on my stack.
Adam Gorham had a really
Nice.
good Rocket Raccoon book at one point. I think it was Rosenberg writing it.
Definitely
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah. Yeah. This should be good. Should be a good time. Now, last up is our spotlight segment, where one of us gets the spotlight put on them to talk about what we've been reading, what we're excited about, that just doesn't get talked about on the show. And I have been a busy bee. There's been a lot going on, and a lot of comics to read, a lot of stuff to read. So I haven't actually been able to read anything too outside of what we do for the show or what's outside of the mainline books. But what I did want to do, since we are at the end of the year, is I thought I would present my top five favorite non-Marvel or DC comics of 2024. So
Oh,
these are the series that I loved the most that didn't come from the big two. So up first, I'm gonna say is the Power Fantasy. I have enjoyed this tremendously. Kieran Gillen, Casper Wingard. It is an outstanding series that feels like a more meditative, thoughtful version of what Kieran was able to do with X-Men. He's discussed that at length, and it's kind of like nuclear powers and nuclear powers in people and how dangerous that could be. And what would happen if these people had to exist alongside each other. Stellar work. We're only 5 issues deep, so very easy to catch up. Great book. Up next for me is The Sacrificers, Rick Remender, uh, Andre Lima, I want to say. I can't remember who the artist is. It's not Lima. It's definitely not. It's Max Fiumara.
Fiumara, yeah.
Yes, Max Fiumara. Epic story so far. Tremendous book. I really wish we got to talk about it on the main show. Long story short, it really reflects our current world where in this story, the gods rule all and they suck the life force out of the young. And in order to keep things the way they are, a sacrifice is required. But one rebels, and that changes the game. That's the story of the Sacrificers. Great book. Buy it if you're not. Up next is Tin Can Society. I've been shouting this book out constantly. Tin Can Society is another Giant Generator book. It's excellent. What if the dude that created the Iron Man suit was actually a black paralyzed person? What if he did it to gain the ability to walk? How would that change the game? And what happens when he dies? Who killed him? Who gets the suit? All those big questions are introduced straight away. It's a fantastic series. Number 2 on my list is Rook Exodus. Rook Exodus has been phenomenal. Jeff Johns, but the real star of the show is Jay Fabic. He's been doing tremendous work. The art of that series is stellar. I see big things coming in 2025 for this book. If you're unfamiliar, it's a world that's not ours where people have the ability to control animals via masks. And insane stuff ensues. Massive bears, crazy crows, cool stuff all over the place. It's a great series. And then finally is the book that I think is arguably the best comic. It's one of the best comics, Department of Truth. I am in love with this series. James Tynion, Martin Simmons, I believe, is the artist. Tremendous book. Right up my alley. Conspiracy theories, what ifs about the world. Really fun, intrigue, dark series that I think you'll get a lot out of if the aforementioned things appeal to you. James Tynion has made himself the master of horror. This is horror, but it's got a conspiracy bend to it. And I really love the roads it's going down. So that's my top 5 indie books of the year.
Great books. Yeah, I'm reading a good chunk of them too, so I can agree with them.
Yeah. Shout
go
them
ahead.
out pretty frequently. No Kaya?
I wanted to include Kaya, but I feel like I talk about it so much.
Sure.
And I also haven't been able to read the last 4 issues because I didn't get number 20. But these were the books that when I thought to do this really just called out at me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you listen to Pals Pulls this Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a great time. You already know what we're going to talk about. So stay locked here to our YouTube channel and check it out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care, guys.
See you next time.